So I put this video together in response to someone asking something on a short that I posted a little while ago. So there's two elements to this video. One of them is about the 3-note idea, which was the original basis of the short video. And that was really just to kind of look at what you can get out of 3 notes rather than just feeling like you got to keep shredding all the time and playing arpeggios and, you know, speed licks endlessly, for example. And the second part of that really is to do with the context of that, which is the chords behind what you play, because they actually provide the context for the notes. And so on their own, originally what I did was I put this little idea together, which was an A minor on that shape there, which is an E minor chord shape, but obviously played there. The next chord I used was this, which is an F. Okay, and what that is, now this is where the guy messaged me and was asking about this chords, what I was playing. Basically, the progression is A minor, F, and D minor. And this C-shaped chord here, if you know your way around the fretboard, you know that when you move it to there, it's a D. When you move it to there, it's an E. And when you move it up to there, it's an F. But what we've got to do, of course, is we've lost the open strings there that make up the other notes in the chord. So what we've got to do is we've got to put the bar across. Okay, so the notes are, then you've got that one there, and there. So what I'm making up here is a C-shaped chord, okay? And the next chord I went to was a D minor, which is the A minor shaped chord based on the 5th fret. Now the reason I use those chords is simply because what I did was I played to play in that position, which is A minor pentatonic in what we call position 1. The next chord I went to would have been F, but that would have left me then coming back to try and fit the notes in because I did it live. So it was... So I wanted to stay in position and use the notes that are in that area rather than keep moving up and down the neck for economy. And then the last chord, the D minor, you can see it's right there. So those notes are all on top of each other. Now, the idea is that you don't always need all that kind of stuff, you know, it's a bit scrappy. I'm not really interested in that in this video. What it is about these 3 notes and the fact that if you strip stuff back and actually do something with them and add some technique and some musical devices, then, and I'll explain those in a minute, then what you can do is you can actually say quite a lot with those notes. So if the reason I put the chords in was to give context, because if I'd have just gone, wouldn't have been much of a video without the context provided by the chords changing in the background. So, and it gives your ear a chance to, which is that root note. And then that's the root note for the A. So it's a really straightforward 3-note thing. But what I'm doing, I'm adding these ideas in. So I said about like musical devices. What those are basically is the things that you do to the notes. So obviously you need a bit of technique to be able to hit the notes. You need a little bit of theory. You need to know what the scales are or what note choice you've got. But the thing that really makes the difference, and not many people talk about this, and this is something that I really go into in the Guitar Evolution free workshop community on School. So if you want to develop your playing, check that out. And what the thing about this is that the notes themselves have loads of different ways that they can be expressed. So I could use repetition. Okay, I could use phrasing. Okay, and I've got a bit of vibrato on there, and I can slide into the note. So all of a sudden, instead of going, which is what those 3 notes are, I've got okay, and then different. Okay, so when I apply those ideas to the other three notes, okay, I wasn't sure what I was going to do with that one then. Obviously you can tell this is not a rehearsed video. I don't like all that shit. And so instead of like trying to find your way through a scale, which ultimately sounds like a scale, then what we're really doing here is going, okay, I've got three notes, I can make myself say more with those. And the idea of repetition, for example, you're going, if you want to repeat that idea over a different chord, in fact, what I'm going to do, I'm going to loop this, okay? I've got my loop pedal here, so we're just going to put a really basic loop together. It doesn't always sound great when it's going through the same sound, but for the purpose of the video, just going to let this run. Not sure what the timing is going to be like, but we'll find out. I'm going to throw in a G chord, okay? Okay, you kind of get the idea with that. So the chords are giving you the context, so you can hear what one note sounds like another against another. So if I play the A, that one's the root note, but then I go to an F, you can hear that, and then the D minor, if I play the open D minor, okay, and you've got that texture against the notes, against the chord in the background. So there's two things going on. One is the chords are providing the backdrop for that, and the other thing is that the way you express the notes gives them their own personality. You can put a bit of a bend. And then in the G chord, that note is there, which is why I put that in, to throw that in the end. And there's that F chord there, to give the economy for the moving, and then the D minor, back to that, and then just to tie that note back in there. Okay, so I know it's a bit of a rough and ready video, a bit loose, but the idea is that, you know, understanding what you can do with notes doesn't mean that you've always got to keep kind of, you know, going. Oh, if I had the volume up would help, wouldn't it? You know, that kind of, you know, I don't play these arpeggios much anymore unless you're trying to sound like Yngwie Malmsteen or doing it for the sake of it. They're not really that useful and frankly not that musical, but that's a whole other video which I'm going to do very soon. Anyway, look, I hope this helped. It's really quick, dirty, you know, I ain't got time for edits and stuff like that, but it's really about exploring those ideas and not feeling like you've got to learn every note, every position, every scale. There's nothing wrong with that. Do that when you're ready, but for now, take the pressure off yourself and just enjoy actually playing a bit of guitar. I'll see you next time.